Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. We're the whole new workouts now from the coach, so we are test driving them today. We're going to get stronger, bigger, faster, and do all that good stuff as we go, but kind of wanted you guys to see, like, this is the first day I'm actually doing this workout. I have to constantly look at it, check it, see, rep range, all the rest. So it's cool, and I like the change. I like the change of pace. I've been doing the last workouts for the last 8 weeks, and we're doing 8-week cycles on all our workouts. So that's been a lot of fun. But I am starting, as most chest videos go, rotator cuff warm up, guys. Warm up your shoulders, warm up your rotator cuffs. I don't know how many times I have to constantly repeat myself, but this is going to be a hallmark to a lot of my videos because, frankly, taking from the old guy at 43 competing, warm up your shoulders. Your shoulders are going to love you later on. Luckily, look, I get an impingement here and there. I get a little bit of neck issues here and there, so I'm not going to tell you it's fail-safe or foolproof, but at the end of the day, there is something to be said about not having some really major issues that could be thwarted by just warming up. So, guys, warm up. This is after 10 minutes on the bike of just kind of pumping through that and feeling good about it. So, guys, just fucking warm up. That's all I have to say. But we are going to do 2 sets, some one, just because of like people around and all the rest. I don't like to do that where I get people into the shots. But we're going to do 2 sets, 2 tips, as I'm going through the new things. So this thing, I only did 2 sets to warm up on a decline pulley. So obviously he sees something with the lower chest or the thickness of my chest that he wants to exaggerate or work on or fix or do whatever, so I am following suit. So the warm-up is actually 2 sets of decline pulleys. So I think here, first tip number 1, if you guys are into competitive bodybuilding, think of your most muscular, of how you're entering that and what you're doing as far as moving your chest through that and flexing it through. So at the bottom of the motion, you want to flex the chest fully as you would if you're going to do a most muscular. So, and look, that's what a lot of people do at the end of their victories in sports and stuff like that, which is interesting, right? So we heard this over the weekend at the Olympia was, people do this most muscular, they throw up the biceps or whatever. Where do you think they learned that from? It's the bodybuilding world. So if you haven't done a most muscular, you're not doing most musculars, practice it while you're doing this one. Second tip, stabilization and footing. I do get into a lunge position here because I don't want the pulleys. I want to stabilize my body first before I go into the motion. Because of the positioning and kind of where you're going with the cables and how the cables are set, it will pull you back or snap you back if you're not stable. So stabilizing yourself, getting the back nice and straight, a little bit of flexation in the hip to make sure that we're not putting any stress on the lower back, but getting stable in this position I think is going to be a huge thing for everybody. So had a choice, dumbbells or hammer strength on a flat. This is a slight incline to this, which I'm actually okay with, and I think my coach will be fine with this too, because I really don't think flat is the way to go, but whatever. I digress. So first things first, as you're doing this, the bar or where your hands should go should be right around like your nipples, right? So I hate to be crude about it, but that's even when you're bench pressing, like the bar should really come down right around your nipples, like right, where your sternum is or where your lower chest connects with your abdominals. That's really where you should be pressing too. So lining yourself up appropriately on any piece of equipment you're doing, specifically on a flat, that should be going around that nipple structure. So just make sure that you're looking at that. Second tip, negative. That's going to be really where this is. When you get to the top, you want to get a nice squeeze and contraction in the chest, but the negative, nice and controlled on the way down. You don't want to just slap this down. You want to go up as fast as you can. Obviously, I'm moving some weight, so that's as fast as it's going, but the negative is going to be the big piece on controlling that. Moving on to an incline. So I'll start off with the other tip that I just gave. This should really go more mid-chest. Your elbow should still be below yourself. I will give that as the second tip, by the way. Those things that just dropped out, I gave a tip of those before, but positioning. should be right around that mid chest point, and as you come up it should be above your shoulder line, and then as you're coming up you're contracting your upper chest. You don't want to squeeze your back together as you come down for that stretch on an incline. You may want to do that, and I would encourage you to do that on a flat or even flies, but when you're doing incline you want to keep the back nice and flat, but the bar or where your hand positioning should be right around the middle of the chest to start, and then it ends above your shoulder line, specifically on this piece of equipment. So we're doing some hand motion tips today, or where your hand should be placed today. Second tip, and you're going to see these things drop when I do it again, those are little blocks. So for me, because I work out by myself more often than not, I don't have a spotter to kind of help me get this off of its rack. So having those blocks gives me that extra 3-4 inches just to get it off the block, and then I can still get the stretch and do all the rest. But honestly, the amount of wasted energy you have of trying to get that off the block and the kind of stress you're putting on your joints to do so, because I'm overstretched at that point, is just not a good thing. So if you can get something to kind of prop up those 3 or 4 inches, that would be crazy good for yourself. Moving into a decline, I guess I'm gonna stay with the tip line in regards to like hand positioning. This should really go right down to the sternum. So like right where the top of the abdominals connect, that's where this bar should be going. My pace on this is a little quick because this is my warm-up set, but the bar should really be coming right below the pectoral line. So right where you have that little protrusion or that gap that's in between your chest and your abdominals. If you have that, awesome. Go right to that. So you even be able to touch a rib there. If you feel around, you should be able to just hit that rib and go right back up. So hand positioning on this is going to be very different than hand positioning on the incline, and then obviously the flat. Second thing, this can be a really good ego lift exercise. You can go really heavy on this and get a good amount of reps out because you really are engaging some really meaty parts of your chest, and your arms are coming in. A lot of other muscles or supplemental muscles are coming in, but if you're focusing on the chest, very much like that first exercise, the decline pulleys, you really should have a better concentration on the muscle rather than just pushing big gigantic weight. So try to ease up from pushing gigantic weight and focus more on the flexation of the muscle with a decline. Here we're going into what is going to be a flat fly. So on this, the idea, elbows are below the chest, or I'm sorry, elbows are below the shoulders, my apologies. And the idea that as you're coming back and getting that nice stretch on the fly motion, you are contracting or squeezing your upper trap and your mid trap to get a bigger stretch, so you have that rib cage really expand as you're in that stretch. I had a troll comment about something that I was doing a pulley press on and saying, well, as long as you're working within the stretch area. No. 2 different exercises, dude. 2 different exercises do different points of pressure. So you definitely want to get a better stretch on this because this is a fly motion. So getting that stretch and really pinching that mid trap and upper back is going to be a benefit while you're doing this. Second thing, keep your elbows below your shoulders. And again, this should be around that nipple height as your hands go through, maybe a little bit above because you're just overall chest area, but right around that nipple height. You don't want to go too high. You don't want to go too low. You are going to be missing the point of this exercise, which is to kind of get that big stretch within the pec and how the pec is actually going to operate. I don't know what I have that wet spot on my back for. I must have sat on something somewhere, but whatever. Moving on to an incline pulley fly. I was advised to use a bench. I do enjoy using a bench. I really wish this machine was slightly wider than what it is, because the other one is a little too wide. This one's just a little too short, so I'm not getting as much of a stretch as I'd like to out of this. But again, we don't have to go to the extent that you do when you are doing a full straight fly. This, your elbows are just a little bit below the shoulder line, but as you come up, you almost kind of want to, you see my hands going to like the brim of my hat. If my brim of the hat was extended another 1.5 feet out, that's my target, because I want to work the upper chest in this motion. So that's where your hand positioning should be. Second thing, stabilizing yourself. No, you know what? No, the second thing is try to figure out like which pulley structure is going to give you the right stretch that you want. Because I felt that this was an okay stretch, so I continued on with the exercise, but it really wasn't perfect. I could have done this a little bit better, and I could have felt a little bit better with a better stretch, but I digress. Try to test out a whole bunch of pieces of equipment. This is probably the best one for me in the gym that I go to. We're into triceps. I don't think arm exercises should be ego exercises. So you'll see I'm not going crazy heavy, but my concentration and focus on the flexation of the muscle as I get down to the bottom of the motion or the bottom of the pulley, that's the important part for me. The nice big stretch as I come up and then down, almost straight. I don't want to lock out the elbows, so let's use that as tip number 2. First and foremost, first tip, this is an ego lift. Yes, you can do a lot on a press down. If you get a V-bar, you can go really crazy, and I could stack this thing and call it a day, but am I getting the right concentration? Am I getting the right attention to the tricep and really how I want the tricep to work? Probably not. So tip number 1, don't ego lift. Tip number 2, get a nice extension. Do not lock out the elbows in any way. I am still leaving probably like millimeters or half an inch or even half a centimeter left to lock out because I don't want the pressure to go on my elbows. I want it to stay on my triceps. So there's your 2 tips for that exercise. Next exercise we're actually going to do, I could only film one because there was a bunch of people around me, and frankly I was doing a mirror filming, but first time in a long time I've done behind the head dumbbell extensions, and I used to love these things. First and foremost, get earbuds, because frankly trying to get over my hat and over my headset was difficult. But here, honestly, you can go big heavy weight. Make sure that if your elbows start to get agitated in any way, drop the weight down. My elbows definitely are agitated on this, but at the end of the day, I really still can push some big weight on this, and I like doing it, and I'm having fun with it. So, guys, enjoy yourself, but try to be safe out there of not overextending on the weight aspect in regards to having your elbows take a beating on it. Was supposed to do skull crushers, but again, I'll go back to the idea that my elbows hurt. There's reasons I wear sleeves and stuff like that. My elbows at this point of the workout were hurting, and skull crushers with an easy curl bar were going to infuriate and really inflame my elbows, so I didn't want to do it. I felt the pulley was a little bit better, even though it was still putting some pressure on my elbows. This, very much like the other pulley, don't fully extend out, don't lock out your elbows by any stretch. Make sure that you are staying before lockout. And then second thing, as the pun is there, stretch. Get a nice big stretch. That's the idea of a skull crusher, is to really get a nice stretch within the tricep. So guys, there's my 2 sets, 2 tips. Like, subscribe, share. It takes you a few seconds. It does mean the world to me, and I appreciate anything and everything you guys can do with that. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the gym.